Looks like some people did their expansions on the board, which are awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do today for this, the continuation of the board, is do some shapes. To do some shape boards quickly, you know, you want to have some, like, say, spikes. So a good way to do this, and this is a good plan way of working your workshop. If you take a piece of your board, I'm just going to take the bottom row quickly. So what I'm going to do to calculate and create shape boards out of this, for the first one I'm going to take these shapes and I'm going to cycle them through each other. You can do it quite quickly just by copying this as a whole. Now for the first one, what I'll do is I'll take number 1, I'll copy it, and then what I'll do is paste it above each of them with a negative paste, because we still want to keep anything on our boards as a one voxel piece. And remember, negative paste, and you hold down the F, hit it, and then just pull up your shape. And do that for each of the shapes that you have there. Even your default one, because that's the default one for that shape set.
Thanks for the follow.
Okay, something like that. I mean, you guys are going to play around. What I would like is for everyone to try to come up with different types of shape boards by the end of this. And I'm going to show you another example to think about. We can do it like that right above it. Now, remember, go back to the demonstration about those reactor locations around that piece. So this is us going straight above our piece that we're using, say our default row, instead of just our default centerpiece, but our default row is on the bottom, and we're doing the reaction above in that very top one. So this would be the one that affects 4 corners at a time. Now what we're going to do is, let's do this exact same set, and we're going to go and choose the one that only affects 2 corners at a time.
It's a bucket raid. Oh.
So again, I'm going to use number 1 for this one to keep in set with the one below.
It's a 10 rate.
Oh, just 1 second there. Because of the diagonal corner, you got to spread the set out just a little bit to give yourself room, because you want to do them all individually. So let me just pull this apart quickly.
You guys. Look, I'm all blushing. Made me blush. Woot! Buckets. Significance of buckets. Oh.
So that's done by going 1 up and 1 over.
1 up, 1 back, and then 1 over. You want one of the corner positions. Oh, actually, this one, sorry guys.
And negative pasting?
It's going to do the 2 first. Yeah, we'll negative paste. Actually, just 1 up and 1 over. Sorry, yeah, you caught me there. I was going to the next reactor, which is the corner one.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's here, you know.
So that's cool. That just makes an angle piece. You know what that looks like? A hand on a clock.
Exactly. I mean, this is where by making these shapes, it gives you ideas too of what is possible by your, just looking on a board. You can start to then visualize what you can make.
Okay, so Kern said, will smoothing that give a better, smaller area of pixelation? Is there a way to twist the shape into a spiral?
Ooh, nice question.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to build it as a spiral, and we'll get into that because that's where we got to use geometry and line up our pieces. We always got to consider what we're building and start calculating if it's going to work, and that's going to be one of my workshops coming up. That's getting a little bit ahead of where we are right now, and I don't want to really jump that far ahead. And see, and you start to, when you're building your sets too, you start to get this scale that becomes a lot easier to visualize what's going on with the connection between your pieces. So by actually doing this, you're going to get the muscle memory mentally of what shape you're going to need for something when you're looking at what you're building to be able to jump over and go, okay, I know I have that piece. So you want to catalog shapes in your head, basically. And this
Stacking
is
the
great
cube
practice for
so
doing
each
it.
corner gets out of alignment with the one below it. Oh, you just said that'll cover the ladder. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm reading it out loud. You should just talk, Kern. Really.
Yeah, would be much more easy.
Me.
That's why everybody's in here, so they can just talk and ask them questions. It is why everyone's in here, so they can just talk and ask them questions. I'll say it twice.
Well, I'm trying to keep
Wax
get
it.
with questions.
No.
Want to know who
There's
and
nobody
why
deserves
about
that
everything.
kind of pain.
Oh, it's fine. There's no wrong
Yeah,
or
of course. Oh my God.
question to ask, in my opinion.
We're here to learn, man. You need to ask questions to learn.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tend to jump ahead. Like he said, he'll cover that later about twisting into a spiral.
Yeah, that's more what we're going to get into with. Right now, we're just starting rudimentary again with these boards. I know some people are ahead of this already, but for the sake of the people that are just starting, I want to go right back and design a course that people can follow down the road as well, through video or what have you, to catch up and get a grasp of this game.
Well, I do have a question with what you did with the cubes. And you pulled the point to make the pyramid showing that. Isn't it easier to just use pyramid shape?
We'll go over that too, because that was part of this lesson today, was those generic shapes from the game.
I need to back up and start from the beginning then to catch up to where you're at.
Yeah, because there's shapes that the game provides, but the spike that we made there was within a voxel. They don't give that cone shape in that set of shapes. They give you a corner piece, which you can stack within 4 voxels to make a corner.
Now, can you cut that with a cylinder tool to make that a round pointed cone instead of the squared?
And within a couple voxels, yes. Not within one voxel. No.
Not in one. Okay.
No, you can't cut up a voxel. Because, again, like I was saying, it's already a mesh out there. There's this wire mesh. The skeleton of this game.
Twist it. You can't cut it.
You can't disconnect it. You can't cut it. You can't
Correct.
remove it. It's there. It's when you're dealing with any of the voxels part of this game, it's there. The only thing that doesn't obey to the voxel skeleton is the props. They're just the texture. So they're not. They have no real volume to them anyway.
Now, can you cut that with a cylinder tool to make that a round pointed cone instead of the squared?
Yeah, because there's shapes that the game provides, but the spike that we made there was within a voxel. They don't give that cone shape in that set of shapes. They give you a corner piece, which you can stack within 4 voxels to make a corner.
Okay. Oh, so props are just a texture in themselves, or they're a texture on a voxel that makes it look.
No, they're just a texture. They're just a texture themselves. They're not on the voxel. They're not in the voxel engine. They're just part of the rendering engine on top.
That's a huge difference in the shape it's making just by going from the smallest micro voxel up to the biggest mega voxel.
Well, mainly if you start noticing, and I was hoping that that would be a good part of this, like showing you the difference here, is that up here you can really start to see that it's only grabbing these two upper corners. But when we're dealing
Yeah.
with the extremely small shape, you don't really visually see
Ready?
that happening too much. You know, your brain kind of overlooks that, and it's harder to see that connection.
Because on this end over here, it's mostly affecting air.
It's just so small the detail is lost of what the piece
Right.
actually looks like, whereas these larger ones are really exposing what that shape is. Because this is the actual shape of even those small ones. It's just done so small that the detail is different. So there we go. So there's the set to
Oh.
go up into the corner, or to the side, which is the two, it's controlling, we're just manipulating two corners at a time.
One up and one over, which would be 2 corners at a time, would be one up and one over. This one right here.
Which is basically,
he's
yeah,
using.
just changing directions from the bottom one. Because we
One
went
up and
straight
one
up,
over.
got these shapes, and then above we went up into the space beside it, which is now just
Straight
controlling
above
the
it,
two.
or straight to the right.
And
got
then
these
the other
shapes.
set what we would make with this is the corner location. And now just
So you're
convert.
manipulating the surrounding space,
Yes.
the surrounding voxels, and the center one that you're actually viewing is stretching to fill the void that's created.
Not fill the void, because we are moving the corners of that location beside it. The corners of the location that we're working on have to move too. We're basically working on its corners, just in the position beside it.
Right.
There is no empty volume. We're just moving corners.
Yeah, that was just bad terminology. It's
Yeah.
like elastic or rubber.
Exactly. Actually, and that's something I really wish I would put into the game, is be able to toggle on a wire mesh so that we can see those all the corners up in the air. So
Right.
that'd be nice, you know, showing the
So-
matrix behind it, because then I think people would go, everybody's light would go on
It
right
would
away.
click instead of having to mentally visualize that.
Exactly.
Now, is there a way to put in anything like a flexible, or again, I'm referring back to what I know the Second Life, which is a flexi, which reacts to movement, wind. If you move it, picture holding a handkerchief by the top
No.
and moving your arm back and forth. The bottom takes time to catch up.
Oh, like a tracer?
Yeah, like a tracer, like a flag moving in the wind.
Yeah, no, interactive voxels aren't in yet. Those interactive or physics aren't in yet, but they're definitely something they're talking about. So